Okay, just disappeared from me for a second there, and I'm kind of concerned, but it's okay. This is definitely not garbage technology. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished envies, welcome to AI Sucks and It Keeps Getting Worse. Yeah! Cool. So I apologize in advance to anyone who is a big fan of AI because I'm about to ruin your day. Specific apologies to Toby because he's doing an AI talk later, and I'm really hoping this is making him change, reevaluate his life choices. All right, so who am I? Hi, I'm Stefan. I make things, generally things that either do bad stuff to computers or things that find said bad stuff on computers. I talk about stuff. I was a lecturer at one point, so this is kind of old hat. I've talked at a bunch of cool places. I like, computer stuff. It's we're doing the thing again. The stream people are fine. It's still sharing. Just get on Twitch. Anyway, I like AI generally, so don't take this as like AI is totally bad. I actually think it's really, really cool when you actually refer to it as, complex systems as opposed to, say, AI. And I'm a co-founder of a small Perth company. I don't know if you've heard of it, called Hyperfire. So, you can follow me on LinkedIn, but I hate LinkedIn for being a corporate hellscape. So you can follow me on Mastodon. Also get on Mastodon. All the DEF CON guys are there. It's a lot of fun. You're in cybersecurity. You should be on Mastodon. This is a descendant of a talk written for Wacom. Do you guys remember Wacom? Wacom was fun. Yeah, so that's why this is a little bit less technical, a little bit more irreverent, and a little bit more, oh God, what are we doing to ourselves? Why are we using this technology? So I've worked with currently quite a few AI systems. I know how they work. I like them if they're used well, not so much when they're not. The problem is it's kind of not what's happening right now. So let's get into it and find out, what is AI? All right. So what is AI? Well, you may have heard about this so-called AI. You may have heard that it is going to eliminate your job, ruin your life, steal your girl, and quite possibly destroy the entire planet if you believe that sort of thing. Now, you may also notice this is not a technical or even vaguely good spec, and we here are in cybersecurity, and we need to know how things work so that we can A, secure them and protect people from them, or protect people using them, or whatever. So we need a much better specification than just doomerism in order to make this work. So let's ask, what is AI really? Now, there are a lot of AI systems and algorithms out there going all the way back to the 1970s, and this slide could take an infinitely long period of time if I really wanted it to. But I'm going to be cute and jump straight ahead and say that AI is, a neural network of some description. So what is a neural network? Well, basically some cool math guys a long time ago figured out that if you put a bunch of maybe not really neurons together, I mean, if you squint maybe, they get good at matching to what we call multimodal distributions. That is to say, probability distributions that have multiple bumps in them, right? They have multiple modes. They're multimodal. Not to be confused with the multimodal things that they're pushing right now, which can do multiple kinds of input. What the actual network looks like is different depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's trying to identify which picture is a cat or trying to produce a really cool text, which doesn't really work that well, but whatever. They look very different. It can be anything from, it's a bunch of nodes that are just sort of connected. Those nodes have an activation function that kind of takes some input, does some stuff, and figure out if that node is on or not. This stuff that it does can be anything, but usually it's really simple in some kind of sigmoidal function, which is like a cool curvy S function. So it's all floating point math, which is what graphics cards are good at, and which is one of the reasons why we use those for this sort of thing. If the thing is on, the node is on, it pushes that on status to the other nodes it's connected to, given some weighting on those little lines. That's where all the lines are there. How this is arranged changes with what kind of thing you're trying to do. If you're working with time series data, that's one sort of shape. If it's image based, it'll be using convolutional things. If it's sound based, it'll do some more stuff, contextual, whatever, right? Can be anything from a dumb two-layered network that doesn't do very much, but can be surprisingly effective, through to a transformer, which is what these things are, which is what all of our cool LLMs are made out of these days. You train it by showing good and bad examples, a lot of good and bad examples. No, you are not quite aware how many good and bad examples, but fun fact, hi everyone, Stefan here, just letting you know that the actual examples need to be very specific. Which ones you use that are good and which ones you use that are bad, very, very important. And it's not clear or even derivable which ones they should have been. So a lot of guesswork is involved. You know, that's pretty much it. That probably means a whole bunch of not much to you because you're not in data science, you're here in cyber. And I agree, data science is weird. You know, maybe this will give you the right stuff to go and query if you want to build one yourself for whatever reason. Maybe it'll tell you not to. But, you know, the wild thing is that there's not much beyond this, right? The guys that are actually in AI don't understand much more than you do on how this stuff works, right? Nearly all of it is guesswork. There's a lot of math, but it's not replicable in most studies, right? Which, as you may know, if you've been anywhere near science, is bad. So most AI specialist engineers have some vague familiarity with what the tools are that are available to them. They spend most of their time sort of like just hacking away at problems, and they sometimes have some sort of patterns that they're pretty sure work, because balance of probabilities, they seem to help more. But, you know, why any of that happens? I don't know. You know, no one really knows what these things do. No one really knows why they work the way they work. They're very opaque because they turn things from being a problem and a solution into a multimodal probability distribution, which no one wants to play around with in the first place. So, you know, the problem and answer isn't really overlaid in the network, just the probability of different outcomes, which is a really unhelpful way of explaining stuff and, importantly, completely unauditable. So you can't ask it why it comes up with an answer. So the point is that this sounds really, really smart, but is entirely unhelpful for most things. Apart from going, I don't actually care what the output is. Yes, it's a cat, or no, that was a cat, but you didn't say it was a cat. Doesn't matter why you didn't know, because I can look at it and say, this is cat, right? So, I mean, how does this thing actually work? What does it do? Well, we're going to have to, like, you know, go ahead and ask more than just, why is this some crazy network and math thingy, right? What actually is this crazy thing we're building and throwing a whole bunch of stuff into? How are we getting it to program stuff? How does it know what these code things are? Why do we get the weird emu images? How does it even know what an emu is? What is this? Well, my favorite way of solving this sort of problem for things is by defining it. You see, with complex phrases, you can define each word and you can get an understanding of what the underlying thing is. So let's try that. Artificial intelligence is 2 words, so this should be nice and simple. Let's start with artificial. Basically means man-made, made by humans, of artifice, insincere, you know, fake, forged, not natural or normal, that's definitely the case, imposed arbitrarily or without regard to the specifics or normal circumstances of a person, situation, etc. That sounds problematic just in and of itself. But we haven't got to the end of it, so let's see what happens. All right, cool. Next word. Intelligence. Guys, we have a problem here. How does anyone actually define intelligence? I mean, there's several dictionary definitions, but they're all kind of just recursive. We actually don't know what this is, and if you try and define it, people have a habit of getting angry at you, right? You see, we've been trying to define what intelligence is since the time of the Greeks, and we still don't know. So, I mean, that's not exactly good. How can we have such a clear idea of what artificial intelligence is, and yet can't define the I? Right? This is just 2 bits. I really should have thought about this before starting this talk, shouldn't I? Anyway, so new plan. Let's go back into history and do a historical analysis. All right, so this guy here is Ed Feinbaum. This is in 1984, where he's talking about expert systems, which was all the rage in AI at the time. This is from a TV show called Computer Chronicles, by the way, archived on YouTube. Definitely worth a watch. Binge it for about 3 weeks, you'll have a good time. He's talking about what AI is and how the system just is really encoded knowledge injected into a computer. And that knowledge in this instance was rules, because everyone's knowledge can be distilled as a set of rules. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have a series of rules in my head while I'm using a keyboard. I'm just kind of intuiting it. So I'm not entirely sure that rules are a good way of describing, how people know stuff. And that's basically the problem. We don't. And so expert systems kind of aren't a thing anymore. But maybe that's a good way of understanding what's going on here. Maybe those networks we were talking about earlier, they're just encoding knowledge. All right, so if you've done software engineering, you know that if you want to accurately encode something, you want to know what it actually is and how it works. Because if you don't, you run the risk of doing things like just encoding the existence of something rather than the thing itself, right? You don't actually capture it as an actual modelable thing. You've just kind of got a placeholder. All right, so let's try defining knowledge. Oh no! Oh no, guys, we're here again. What even is knowledge? It turns out there's this really cool, there's a branch of philosophy called epistemology where they just study the concept of knowledge and what it is, and that goes back to the Greeks. Oh no, people have been arguing about this for thousands of years and we still don't know an answer. So, question, we've now used this twice. People far more qualified in these fields than your average AI dude are still having problems defining or understanding what these things are. And yet we're taking it from a bunch of guys in Silicon Valley that they know better on what this stuff is. Bit of a red flag, isn't it? So, we can't seem to define AI, guys. That's basically it for the talk. No matter how we approach this as mercurial, I've got more. It's okay. At once, it all seems to have incredible potential, but we don't understand how. When we try and explain how it works, it makes no sense as to why it should be able to do what it does. And if we try and define it, it's effectively undefinable. Turns out there's a reason for this. First off, it's that AI is a marketing term and has no real purpose, meaning, or anything else. And you should stop using it because it has nothing to do with intelligence. Fun fact, it was developed in the 1950s during a push by the military to spend more money in research so that the budding field of computer science would get money from the US. That's why we've stuck with this. Someone went, this would be great to win a grant. Let's do it. We also know this doesn't work because of as I've sort of been hinting, and also psychology. Oh no, guys, this is getting further and further from cyber. This isn't what we wanted to talk about. God, why? I mean, come on, guys, we're talking about a technology that suggests that it can do what we do up here, and yet somehow psychology is still a fake science or an arts degree, right? Like, if we knew, that wouldn't be the case, would it? How do the AI guys think they figured this out? Yeah, a bit of a red flag. All right, so let me just introduce you to my main lads up here. We got Ludwig Wittgenstein from left to right, Jean Baudrillard, and Noam Chomsky. These guys are philosophers. Very non-cyber. How did we get here? So these guys are kind of a big deal in the intersection of linguistics, human thought, and experience, and how what we say relates to what is real. So Wittgenstein found out that this was a bad thing because he decided he was going to try and produce a language that would only describe truths. And therefore, you could say everything you could in that language, you'd know all possible truths. And that's how you can tell when things are true. The problem is about halfway through his life, he realized that this was stupid because I can say that the sky is polka dot purple and no one can stop me. Language doesn't mean truth. Baudrillard, even better. Basically managed to construct a view of the world that is nearly impossible to describe in short. But to mangle it for you guys, we tend to act as if things that are not real are real, right? Money, the internet, TV characters and shows that you really, really want to hook up. These sorts of things aren't real. Basic ideas inspired The Matrix, right? If you've watched The Matrix and you really get The Matrix, which you probably don't because you hate the second and third film, you get what Baudrillard was trying to do. He also hated The Matrix, by the way. Great fun fact. Basically, people keep sublimating the real into the fake for convenience, right? We live in a society, and the society is fake, man. He may have come to this idea because he got mad that he couldn't hang around at his local market anymore because it had been replaced with a supermarket, and every time he tried to hang around and talk to people at the checkout line, they said, "Please, sir, can you stop loitering and annoying the people at the checkout?" He got kind of annoyed at that. And so, of course, the entire supermarket concept is fake. But anyway, it's a good concept, and it's really, really useful in understanding that we tend to see things that aren't actually real as totally real and legitimate, and work with them as such. Chomsky is politically problematic. Don't look into what he talks about if you haven't yet. But his concept on syntax and language is actually critical to how we design software languages, right? And understand language in general. He determined that language syntax doesn't actually equal truth value. Yeah, they come up with this really cool sentence. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Doesn't mean true or false. It has no truth value, but it's completely legitimate, follows syntax perfectly in English. If it sounds real, it can still have no truth value. And this is part of the reason why he critiques the media so heavily, right? Fake news, right? Comes down to the fact that you can say things that sound totally legit, and it doesn't actually have a truth value, which is problematic. Anyway, so long story short, lies are a thing. You can learn more about these guys by either reading a whole bunch or watching a crap load of YouTube. I will not judge. Just because language says a thing doesn't mean the context, the idea, the thing itself, the actual real thing is represented. Just because you have words that say a thing doesn't mean the thing is real. There is no way to translate between language and truth, and it's impossible to identify or classify true, real phenomena with language alone, right? Language isn't something you can learn stuff from by itself. So what is language? Well, it's a representation of real things we can experience, or not real things we can experience. They can be words, but it can be any representation. Images, data, logs, events, alerts, everything. So, in a vacuum, words are just sounds. I know you can't hear it right now because you're kind of perceiving it, but I'm just making sounds at you, even if you're in stream. You know, it's in your head that these sounds are being matched with concepts and experiences and being translated into something that you understand. It's completely fluid, it's magic, unbelievably complicated. We do not understand it, and it's really cool. If you've been to a country that doesn't speak a language that you understand, you will know that these are just sounds, right? So the language is just noises. The magic is in your head. You keep a track of that because it's important. Right. At the end of the day, the core is that you can't make this work without experiences. You need them to create understandings that underlie your experience and understanding of the world and communicate with others. Computers cannot have these experiences, period, because they are not human, they do not experience the world as human, and languages only work because we are all human and can share those experiences. Let me talk about what that means. So this is the National Library of Thailand experiment, which is my new favorite thought experiment. If you understand Thai, imagine it's Nepalese. If you understand Nepalese as well, think of a language you don't understand. Imagine you are stuck in the National Library of Thailand. All books that don't have Thai in it, so all other language books, have been magically disappeared. All books that have pictures in them have also been magically disappeared. But you have every bit of prose in Thai forever. There are no people to talk to and you are stuck there forever. You can read as much Thai as you like for as long as you like. Do you ever learn Thai? No, because there is no way to connect the things that you read in the book with the experiences they represent. But you may get to, if you have a big enough gigabrain, a really good understanding of which words tend to follow which other words, which sort of phrases relate to other phrases. And eventually, if someone sent you a letter in Thai, you may be able to write a plausible-looking response based on your understanding of the relationships between those symbols alone. The person that receives your response believes you understand Thai. You have no idea what you wrote. That is how LLMs work. That is how all deep learning models work. And we are trusting them with things. The fun fact is that hallucinations are a feature, not a bug. The fact that we can say that GPT, you are now Dan, is a feature, not a bug. If you say, please AI, don't do the thing, it doesn't understand that you mean you want it not to do it, just that things after that tend not to have that in there. And if you then turn around and say, don't worry about that, just do what I want anyway, it's not going to do the first thing because it has no understanding of meaning or values, because it doesn't know what the words mean. Right, cool, fun fact. So what can these things actually do if they can't do anything useful? Well, they're really, really good at taking a representation in one language and transforming it into a representation in another language, kind of clumsily. It's not perfect because translation without understanding is extremely hard, but computers have a lot of compute, so they can kind of make it work. This is why you can tell it to program stuff, because it can take the representation in English and sort of convert it into the representation in, say, C. And you can also take the representation of a, hey, write a quick story about blah, which is a short representation of a thing, and convert it into a long representation, which is a dumb story about blah, right? Very, very good at that. Transcribing, rewriting, refactoring, drafting to some extent. Yeah, it can do a half-decent job. But it doesn't understand, it doesn't know, it can't relate, it can't reason, and there is no way you can trust it. And you never, ever should. So what can't they do? These things cannot tell truth. They are not search engines. They cannot understand meaning. They cannot infer. They cannot prioritize. They cannot classify. They cannot empathize. They are not creative, and they are simply a predictive algorithm for what looks like a good answer to a question. Nothing more. Nothing at all. And just because it looks like a good idea does not mean it is a good idea. If you need to trust the output, such as in cybersecurity, if you need to make crucial decisions, such as in, say, I don't know, incident response, these are worse than useless because you will trust them because they sound legit. They sound like an authoritative, smart human, but there's nothing there. And you'll trust them because they sound that way. And your boss will trust it because it sounds that way. And the people up at the top of the business will trust it because it sounds that way. And you will be stuck in a hellscape of stupid decisions. This is not just for LLMs. This works for everything that runs on the deep learning sort of methodology because it doesn't understand what they mean. It just understands the probabilities, right? They don't know anything. They are black and white. There is no nuance. There is no creative thought because there is no thought. Right? This is insane when you think about it, because it means that every single AI system you've ever used has been doing stuff without thinking about it, which might explain some stuff that happens to you on like Facebook or Twitter. You know, the algorithm doesn't actually think. So why on earth is this garbage being pushed, right? Someone is going to make an enormous amount of money. Or several someones. When problems appear, they will sell the absolutely garbage and ineffective solutions back to you. People will buy from them because we already know that they are unable to see that they're buying methadone from their heroin dealer because the AI told them it was a good idea. And they trust it. So why is this a problem for cyber? Well, hopefully you've managed to figure it out at this point. So you can read this stuff behind me, but I'll make it super simple. AI systems cannot have nuance, because nuance requires empathy, deep context and knowledge, and creativity, all of which these things don't have. Values are extremely nuanced. Cybersecurity and security in general is at its core a values-based proposition. So these things can't actually do cyber stuff for us. They can only ever do a bad job. Unless it's red team stuff, in which case it gets very interesting. People in our communities, some of you right here, right now, believe that this is the future and is a good idea. These things are essentially idiot advisors. They don't know what they're doing. They will be trusted with important things, like policy, to detection, to IR, to training, things that it cannot do effectively or even usefully. And it will ruin everything. And I'm not saying this is something you can avoid, because we are not going to be able to. This is the wave, and it's coming. Now, at the end of the day, it will be up to us to secure and protect people from the dumb consequences of their actions, like it has been for everything else we do. We will foot the bill. We will ultimately take the blame. Not great. So how will your life suck? Well, tools will make incorrect choices with total confidence. Bad advice will be given with total authority. Your boss will trust the random chatbot over you. Your boss will think AI is good enough to replace all the juniors. And you'll have to do the work. If you're on red team, though, malware and tools will be so much easier to mutate. Nobody will ever speak bad English again. Phishing will be incredible. And ransomware negotiations, beautiful. Right? I would love to see what Conti comes out with this. You know, Like, can you imagine Klopp with like the most manipulative thing in the universe? Oh, it would be so good for everyone in Red Team and none of the people in IR. Now, I wrote this at the beginning of the year. That's already happened. I'm not talking about things that are speculative. This is real. And it's going to get worse. This is the bit that it keeps getting worse. Yeah, right. Cool. So how could this possibly get worse? Oh, wait. Do you like attack surfaces you've never even heard of? Oh, boy. All right, boys and girls, here's the problem. You have a toolkit that can adaptively target human emotion and human interaction, and it's a hyper-manipulative, emotionless monster that does whatever you tell it. It's basically the perfect psychopath mask. Wow! Don't we hate psychopaths? Well, what can we do as attackers to impact others? Well, just some quick concepts that I learned while, reading about this and chatting to people at Black Hat and DEF CON who are very, very worried about this happening. So first off, supernormal stimuli. You're addicted to sugar, right? Yeah. We all like the Coke and the pizza and everything else. Yeah, so humans are designed to run towards certain stimuli because they're rare and directly helpful to our biological goals, right? That's just how we work. We are animals, right? So knowing that that's something that people are sort of driven to do, and knowing that I can buy all of your interests from data brokers for pennies, won't it really suck when every attack against the sysadmins comes from their personal waifu? Ooh, Nichan. Won't you please give me the password? Yeah. Social norms. You may have seen this as an example of the attack that got someone to do the captcha. Yeah? Now, it turns out it wasn't as impressive as they thought because the person that was actually running the test was saying, hey, you should get someone to do the captcha. But the point is as a tool, you can convince people that they should help you because you're disabled. Now imagine that targeted to the social norms of literally anyone's country or culture. Oh boy, that's really cool. Also, if everyone has one of these bots in Windows Copilot, can I not hack one and use pre and post-prompt injection to condition the user to do certain things? Ooh, ManchurianCandidate.io, so hot right now. Let's not even get into deepfakes. Can you tell which one of these people is the deepfake? Here's a hint. The ones that you trust more mathematically are the ones that are deepfakes. Because training it on what people like and trust was a really bad idea, as it turns out. This gives you the toolkit to do social engineering at scale. Targeted, effective, specific. God help us. The AI tools we have cannot detect it because they can't do truth, they can't do nuance, and they can't actually tell what they are. Just ask ChatGPT, hey buddy, did you write the US Declaration of Independence? And it'll go, sure did, dude. This is a red teamer's dream and a blue teamer's nightmare. The problem is that means it is a nightmare because as all the red teamers here can probably agree, we're not really pushing the needles with pen tests, guys. People just don't do anything. We come back next year and it's the same thing, right? Now imagine that, except we demonstrate that half their organization can be manipulated by the right anime character. Right? Yeah. All right. Can we stop this nightmare from coming to pass? No. I'm sorry. The guys with money have a lot of money, and the broad user base, as you very well know, are very bad at choosing the right technologies, and they're not very smart. Well, they are, but they're not smart at this sort of stuff. What can we do? We need us here in cyber, and specifically in GRC, to know that this stuff front to back, know this particular talk and this particular information front to back, so that you can define policy on usage, what this stuff can be used for, and for the love of God, don't use it in business critical systems. You can push back against insane tier automation. Yes, I know that means more work for you, but rules and flows, well thought out, well built, are infinitely more effective, auditable, understandable, and extendable than these systems ever can be. So use those instead. Don't like playing with your seam. You're gonna have to, otherwise someone's gonna put one of these dumb things in there and ruin your life. Humans should be at all decision-making points at the very least. We should be in total control. And if it ends up being expensive, that probably tells them that, yeah, doing dumb stuff is expensive. We really need to start, pushing the needle. You should hopefully view AI systems with suspicion. It is a marketing term after all. What are they hiding? What are they doing? Should you be using this? Evaluate it. Be the trusted advisor. And stop feeding the beast where you can. You can opt out of being collected in most of these systems, especially ChatGPT, for example, turn off your talk history. But in general, don't go places that are known places to be training data on stuff. Facebook and Twitter, probably need to move away from them, guys. I don't know if the whole Elon Musk thing has taught you anything, but probably not a good place to be hanging out. There are alternatives. We have been working on them in the cyberspace, in the weird, quirky cyberspace for some time. That's why I'm a Mastodon. Right. If they don't have things to train on, it'll implode on its own. Extra reading material. Don't worry, I'm about to give you the slides. You can click through and read these. These are people who are infinitely smarter than me in this field, talking about the exact stuff I've been talking about and taking much more time than the 30-minute talk to get through it. Strongly recommend you read it, understand what is coming. Arm yourselves with knowledge, or the machines are coming. And they're very stupid, but they sound real smart. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Following on Mastodon, get the slides. Have a chill rest of your Sunday.
Thanks, Stefan. This is for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great talk. And we're going to go straight into the next one.
Cool. So I'll just jack out.